Just last week, I did a video on the top 7 best primary weapons to be using and have in Destiny 2 right now to take you into the Edge of Fate DLC. A lot of people really enjoyed this video. I got lots of positive comments down below in the comments of, what you guys agree on, what you disagree on, what your favorite primary weapons are in Destiny 2. So I'm going to back that video up with the top special weapons in Destiny 2 to be using right now that will carry you into the Edge of Fate DLC. Now, I just want to clarify a few things here. There's been a lot of, misconceptions. People pretty much believe that every weapon in the game right now is practically going to be useless come the Edge of Fate DLC because of the new tiering of weapons. Now, we can pretty much confirm here that all of our weapons now, especially the God Roll best in slot weapons that we have, these weapons aren't going anywhere. We're definitely going to be using these in the Edge of Fate DLC, and, there'll definitely be some new meta weapons, but I definitely wouldn't write off any of the best weapons in the game right now, because they will still be extremely useful in the Edge of Fate DLC, so if you're missing any of these guns on this list, it is still worth your time going and farming them. So without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into this list, and straight away, in at number 1, arguably the best special weapons to be using in Destiny 2 right now, is by far the rocket-assisted sidearms. Now, all of these rocket-assisted sidearms are all unique in their own way. To put it simple, you need to get all of them. All of them will be used in certain scenarios, whether you have some sort of week where arc damage is needed from, shields, whether you need void, stasis, solar, whatever it is, all of these rocket sidearms should be in your inventory ready to go at any means necessary. However, if I have to recommend one rocket-assisted sidearm, it's definitely got to be the Tenacious Mastery. However, unfortunately, the Tenacious Mastery is only obtainable through the Iron Banner, so if you still do not have one of these weapons, you're basically just going to have to wait until the Iron Banner comes around again. If you haven't got some of the other sidearms, I would definitely recommend getting those rocket-assisted sidearms, but if you've got the Tenacious Mastery, definitely start using it. It is by far one of the best. As for the go-to gold roll for the Tenacious Mastery, it is definitely Chill Clip and Air Trigger. Chill Clip is the perk you want on this gun. It allows you to slow enemies, which will be very useful for general activity, but it will also stun overload champions. Enough Chill Clip, applications will then freeze the target, which is very useful for shattering, causing massive damage against adds, but it will also stun unstoppable champions in any Grandmaster Nightfall. Overall, this weapon is extremely solid. Definitely start using it whenever you can. Moving on here into weapon number 2, I have chosen the Praetor's Revenge that comes from the Vault of Glass raid. Now, this weapon has quickly scaled to one of the best snipers in the game to be using for any sort of boss DPS, or even just plain old strikes. Staying back and DPSing a boss from far away is the safe option, and the Praetor's Revenge is definitely one of the best, if not the best, kinetic sniper special weapon in the game. As for the God roll, there's plenty of rolls that you can go for. In the first column, you have perks like 4 times the charm, kinetic tremors, envious arsenal, and rewind rounds, just all the S tier perks. Same thing goes for the second column. You have things like bait and switch, elemental honing, precision instrument, which I probably wouldn't use in PvE, frenzy, whatever it is, this weapon has the God roll. This weapon is basically just the better supremacy, and everyone was using the supremacy back in the day. However, the Praetor's Revenge is just that little bit better. It comes from the Vault of Glass, it's craftable, definitely one of the best snipers that you should definitely have. Now, moving on here into weapon number 3, this list was very hard to make here. The special weapons in the game are arguably the best weapons to be using, and there are so many decent ones out there that it is very hard to narrow down and put a list together of the best ones to be using. So in here at number 3, I've put 2 guns, but they are pretty much the same gun, and that is an Area Denial Grenade Launcher. The 2 best being Lost Signal and the VS Velocity Baton. Whichever one you have, whichever one you feel like farming out, either one of these is a great solid option here for a great special Area Denial Grenade Launcher. Now, the Lost Signal has been in the game now for many seasons. The God roll being auto-loading holster and Vorpal weapon. It goes in the kinetic slot. It's a very, very solid stasis area denial frame weapon here. This one works extremely well for, building your Transcendence bar on the darkness side because it's a stasis weapon. Shoot a bunch of adds and you can just watch that energy just chunk up to grant you Transcendence. Extremely useful here. We all know about it. We've all been using it. As for the VS Velocity Baton, this works very similarly. However, it is a void weapon, so it's good at charging your light side of the Transcendence bar, and it is almost just as good, if not better, than the Lost Signal. As for the God roll, my favorite roll is Repulsor Brace and Attrition Orbs. Unfortunately, I still don't have the God roll. I've done this dungeon plenty of times. I just haven't been able to get this specific God roll. But this weapon is extremely useful. The Repulsor Brace is going to give you a decent overshield, And then the attrition orbs is going to print orbs every time you shoot a bullet from this grenade launcher. It's extremely useful for endgame content. Printing orbs is very useful. Both of these area denial grenade launchers are extremely useful. Definitely grab one or the other, if not both. Jumping on here into weapon number 4, I have chosen the Choir of One. One of the most staple, best exotic auto rifles in the game for any content. Whether it's a strike, GM, contest raid, this weapon will shred any bosses, mini bosses. It is extremely viable and everyone should jump in and get the, raid it, whatever. Destabilizing rounds is the only perk you want on the Choir of One. We've all had this now for many seasons. It is extremely useful. At one point, it was the most broken gun in the game. Bungie slightly nerfed it, but it is still extremely viable. Moving on here into weapon number 5, I'm going to put in a little bit of a rogue suggestion here. However, this weapon is by far one of my favorite guns, and it reminds me of why I put in all the effort to get the shiny god roll of this gun, and that is the Mountaintop. Now you can get the Mountaintop by going to Zavala in the tower, attuning to the Mountaintop, and then going ahead and doing some Onslaught. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you get the god roll pretty quick, and the god roll that you're going to be aiming for is auto-loading holster and recombination. Now this perk combination works extremely well. Basically, the way recombination works is it stacks up and bumps the damage all the way up to 10 stacks, giving it a 100% damage boost inside of PvE. Each stack will obviously give you 10%, and the way you get a stack is by getting an elemental kill. So pairing this with a weapon like the Sunshot counts as an elemental kill every time you kill one enemy. So all you have to do is quickly kill 10 enemies with some sort of elemental kill, and it's going to build up recombination stacks. When you pull out the Mountaintop, it's going to do 100% increased damage for one bullet, and then obviously the auto-loading holster is going to reload it for you while you build up more recombination stacks. Now I find this weapon to be extremely useful at just deleting any sort of yellow bar, mini boss, even a champion. Whenever you pull it out, it's just a one-shot kill weapon. You put it away, you build up the stacks, you pull it out, you one-shot something. It is extremely useful in pretty much any activity for deleting any sort of mini boss or yellow bar. Seriously, an underrated gun in Destiny 2. Everyone was using it, farming it when Onslaught came out, but they sort of forgot about it. It is definitely still up there as one of my favorite, best special weapons in the game. Moving on here into our second last weapon in at number 6, I've chosen a fusion rifle of your choice, and my two preferred roles are the Zealot's Reward and the Scatter Signal. Now both of these fusion rifles have amazing roles at dealing with adds and encounters, or they can be swapped to a specific boss DPS fusion rifle, being a rapid fire frame. That is definitely the best fusion rifle frame that you want to be using. As for the Zealot's Reward, the god roll in my opinion is auto-loading holster and controlled burst. However, if you do like reloading, you can sub out auto-loading holster for attrition orbs. So while you're DPSing a boss with controlled burst, you're going to be printing orbs through attrition orbs mid-DPS phase, which is actually surprisingly useful for keeping up, your armor stacks. As for the Scatter Signal, same thing goes here. The god roll is Overflow and Controlled Burst. Controlled Burst is just one of the best perks that you can run on a fusion rifle for boss DPS. It grants you a 20% DPS increase, and also a 10% decreased charge time. Fusion rifles are still definitely one of the meta weapons to be using for DPS, especially if you're a support character, using something like a tractor cannon warlock on a well. Because you're bricking yourself by using a tractor cannon, you can't use a decent heavy. Pairing a very good fusion rifle with a tractor cannon will still do a decent amount of chunk damage. You won't really compare to, your other teammates, using something like a Heathen Vengeance or a Queenbreaker, but it's a very solid way in still keeping up your DPS to as high as possible. So definitely recommend grinding out a decent fusion rifle, either the Scatter Signal or the Zealot's Reward. Moving on here into our final weapon, there's no other weapon to be recommended here other than the Lord of Wolves. Now the Lord of Wolves has been one of the best guns to be using this season. It's just been buffed, it's completely broken, it's shredding enemies, dealing massive amounts of damage, especially if you're a well warlock using Sanguine Alchemy. It's one of the best, close range shotguns to be using for boss DPS. It's just absolutely shredding enemies. Bungie did nerf it a little bit, but it is still extremely useful and it's definitely worth having ready to pull out come into the Edge of Fate, or even right now in, some of these ultimatum dungeons. The Lord of Wolves is very solid. Definitely start using it if you haven't. But anyway, guys, that will pretty much wrap the video up there. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment down below. And let me know in the comments down below what your favorite special weapons are in Destiny 2 right now. But again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.